there is actual research to argue that apostate accounts, ex-member accounts, as a genre should not be considered reliable. You know, people's memories are massaged. You know, your memories of things, your understanding, your interpretations of events change over time. And if you leave angry, you have a propensity to think the worst in a way that will shape your interpretation of even what is true. And
well said.
And that's talking about the people who are honest.
Right.
You know, that even if you're honest, you have a tendency to present things in a light that sort of favors a negative interpretation, but then you also have people who maybe say things that are completely untrue. And I don't want to give you gory details or examples, but I've seen groups that have had people who've shown up who have said things, lied in ways where, you know, a reasonable, rational person could stand back and say, you know, there's no need to even try to believe this is possible because it's simply fundamentally impossible.
Yeah.
And so I recognize that both out of kind of like bitterness, but at least sort of clouded honesty, and also out of actual malevolence, one shouldn't trust ex-member accounts as a blanket genre. And then the other thing, you know, I don't know as much as I should know. I want to know more about the situation where you had, I think, 4 or 5 different libel trials in France. You were able to get retractions and vindications in these trials, but these cases where you actually were exonerated are still being continued to be used against you. Since there have been decisions in these cases, I think it's safe to sort of say, look, you know, from what I think is known about the members, ex-members who've made those allegations, they come from a very different interpretive background for Islam than you do. And my own impression is I believe that they have been incentivized not just to misremember, but to truly misrepresent. And I would say, look, you know, Islamists have an incentive to lie about you right now. And so if a claim comes forward from a Muslim majority government that's already issued a fatwa, if there's a claim that's come from somebody who's left this community because they disapprove of your stance tolerating LGBT, they are already people who have taken a position absolutely antagonistic from your religion, and yet from a perspective within Islam, all bets are off. It's okay to lie about you in order to destroy your reputation. And I'll say one other thing. You know, we think, oh, lying is something that only human beings do. It's something that, you know, we should struggle to try to surmount. Governments can and do lie. And so, for example, in the People's Republic of China, they actually have an official government position to destroy the reputations of the Seijiao. In other words, creating false negative propaganda against a religious minority is legal and is government policy. And now that I know that exists in China, that a government will say, okay, we can fabricate information because it is useful, there's no reason to think that other countries wouldn't copy that strategy.
Yeah.